Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and there is a pretty big announcement to cover today. Guild Wars is being discontinued for a few weeks. The devs have been listening to all the feedback on it, and they said that they're going to be delaying it for at minimum 2 weeks, just so that they can take feedback from the community and basically just find solutions to improve the Guild War experience. As far as their exact posts, I'll go put everything in the description, as well as where you can contact them if you wish to give input on it. So here is the official post. Hello everyone, I have some news that may come as a bit of a surprise. Today we are taking Guild Wars offline for at least 2 weeks. This will give players some time to rest and recharge, whilst also giving us an opportunity to review and tune Guild Wars. Over this 2 week period, we will decide how to move forward with Guild Wars. This could mean changing the Guild Wars schedule to happen bi-weekly, monthly, or even alter the way Guild Wars is fought and run. Although Guild Wars has been a big success and increased our player base, we have still decided upon this course of action in order to bring you the best game and features as possible. We hope that you will bear with us while we do our best to bring you a new and improved Guild Wars, however that might be. So essentially, there has been quite a bit of controversy over Guild Wars. Not everyone may have been seeing it, but it has happened. It's torn some guilds apart. It just gave a lot of unneeded stress to some people, and they are looking into reworking it and hearing out the community. They even made an entire thread where you can post whatever your opinions are on it. Many people already have so just go over here. I'll post this in the description as well, and let me just go over my opinion over it real quick. Guild Wars isn't really something that I've really explained, like how I feel about it in depth, so I might as well kind of just go over that, what I feel like could be improvements, and just go from there. So as far as Guild Wars, I do actually like Guild Wars for the most part. It gives a nice amount of endgame content, where obviously before endgame content was quite lacking. Definitely still needs more, even with Guild Wars included. Could still use a little bit more as far as endgame content is concerned, because basically as it is right now, it's either just Guild Wars and then to spend the rest of your time in PvP. There isn't really much else to do other than that as of currently. But one of the biggest faults I'd have to say with the Guild Wars is the slight unfairness that it has as far as established guilds compared to smaller guilds that want to be competitive. Of course, larger established guilds that already have 30 members that are really well organized tend to excessively outperform everything else. And while this somewhat should be the way, one thing that also makes this slightly an edge is the point system that they end up doing. I'm perfectly fine with this there being a extra bonus for every single troop that you use of the same color. The main problem is when it comes to the statue. They did rebalance this to make it so you only need a level 100 guild statue to be able to get the full 50% bonus, but still, this takes newer guilds months upon months to actually reach. I forget the exact amount of time, but I believe it takes around 5, 6, maybe even 7 months to get that 50% bonus, and a newer guild that tries to go there in a few months will be at a very, very big disadvantage, even if they have the exact same win rate and capability within Guild Wars. Another pretty big problem with attacking, I would have to say, is the fact that it's so based on needing a summoner. I do like that they include like aspects of how well you do as far as into the point system, but counting that as how many people survive essentially forces Guild Wars to be played in a way that you have to use summoners, otherwise you are going to lose points regardless. As you can see, we got the max points they can possibly earn on a single day, most recently on the purple day, 6,300, but we had to do this by using a summoner on our team to make sure if we lost anything that we would be able to resummon it. Particularly, I used the Amnesia, which is a mythic, which a lot of people can't have. And on some days, if you don't have an Amnesia, well, you're kind of out of luck, because many of the other colored summons don't really end up working that well with these specific color synergies. And that applies to basically any of the days where you basically have to force a summoner of some kind in your team if you do want to try getting towards that max score. And if you don't have the troops, then, well, you're just at a constant disadvantage when doing Guild Wars. so that's something that they could adjust as well. As far as rewards, it is something, while it was made for end game content, basically all the rewards are at end game, particularly bracket 1, particularly the top 6 or 8-ish of bracket 1, mainly because this is where if you, well, 6 and upwards is where if you completely max out the Sentinels, you will completely get your money back, or, you know, as far as the resources that you put in, and everything else beyond there is profit. But this is a very, very, very small section of the game. I believe they should give a little bit more incentive to actually, well, for one, buff these up just maybe slightly more towards the lower end. But the other thing is just give more incentive to actually win on every single one of the days. Right now, there is a very, very small incentive. It only gives 50 seals and 100% EXP for the following day. Well, of course, the 50 seals is permanent, but it does count towards your minimum thing that you have of 1.5k every single week. So to many players, it's like you're not even getting any seals at all. So that's another factor. So basically all you're getting is EXP, not to mention newer players, they don't even really need EXP immediately. As you can see, actually it's right up there, the daily rewards, 100% EXP and 50 seals. That is very, very minimal for actually winning a Guild Wars. Maybe they could buff that up. Maybe they could give some kind of extra rewards for consecutive wins in a row or something of the such. Would give a lot more incentive to actually winning. Pretty sure they could find some kind of way to balance that out with the scoring system. And other than that, don't think there was too many. Oh yes, there was one other thing. The concept of not having everyone having to do all the battles. I don't mind too much that 30 people have to do all the battles, but I know for many, many guilds, including some people that have left my guild, actually I think I've had at least 8 people in the last couple months, or since Guild Wars came out, I should say, leave my guild simply because they didn't really care for the competitiveness of Guild Wars, at least this late in the game. They could definitely add a way to make it so maybe some people could take off on a given week. Maybe only count 27 people or 25 people has been something that has been tossed around. I think it could really help because if someone goes on vacation, like for example, someone, I forget actually who, but someone on in my guild is actually going on vacation for 2 weeks. Well, I was going to have to kick him, though I guess I can keep him now since Guild Wars is being delayed. But I was going to have to kick him for those 2 weeks because he's going to be out on vacation. Even though he could still probably play a little bit, he wouldn't really be able to do the Guild War battles and keep up with that. So that's another factor. Basically, you have to constantly be active pretty much every single day. You can do all the Guild War battles at the end of the week if you really wanted to, but still, having to do 30 battles that competitively all in one session is definitely not too good. It's definitely pretty hard to do, and you're probably going to lose a lot more than you normally do. So they could add some kind of way to allow some players to basically be benched out of a specific Guild War if real-life things come into play. And now I believe that is pretty much it with Guild Wars. As far as what Guild Wars does right, for the most part, I do enjoy the actual tension of it. I know that some people, that's actually one of their complaints possibly about Guild Wars, is that it's too tense and everything like that. I actually personally really like it. Gives a nice competitive feel to it. There is a bit of RNG to it, and that could be maybe reduced just with troop balance and maybe better AI in a way. One thing that is a little bit annoying is the event system that I forgot to mention. When the meta keeps changing every single week to a specific team, whenever just a ridiculous team gets like 50% or just 25%, that is a little bit annoying and can be quite broken, particularly for players that don't actually have these troops at their disposal to be able to throw into each of the battles. That can put them at a great disadvantage and probably discourages them from wanting to play, particularly in the later game, where if they don't have it, well, then they basically are going to be useless within a certain week on Guild Wars. Let's see, what else does Guild Wars do correct? As I'm saying even more things that it is wrong. But still, more end game content. It is something that has added to that. Other than that, I do enjoy the rewards that it has at the end game. Of course, not that many people get to enjoy it. Definitely expanding it would be nice. The new Guild War troops, they are going to be expanding this eventually. This was something that seemed pretty cool, that you could get these kind of troops and you could only get them through Guild Wars. They did mention that they're going to be adding more in the future. They were initially going to intend to give one to every single kingdom, and I believe that is still their intention to do. Currently, of course, there's only 6, so if they added one to every single kingdom, that would be, what, right now, 29, I believe there is? 29 kingdoms in the game? Yeah, 29 as of the new Erskaya kingdom. So that would be, what, 23 additional Guild War troops, plus the 2 coming later in the later on, the 2 or 3 new kingdoms coming this year. So that'd be pretty cool if they did expand that out. That would definitely give more rewards and more incentive to the Guild War system. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that's almost about everything I want to say. Should have probably made some bulletin points, but most of you kind of already know how I feel about Guild Wars. Like it, but definitely could use some changes. Bonuses here, I don't really have any complaints about these other than the fact that they're not calculated right on PC right now, but that's a pretty small issue. Their costs are quite expensive though, I do have to say. Particularly for a smaller guild is never going to be able to max this out. A good majority of guilds are not going to be able to max it out. As far as when these are actually viable, I believe you can only upgrade 2 of them if you're in any bracket, 3 of them if you're like 50 or plus as far as like the rating thingies, and then you can't really do 4 until you're like all the way up at like the top 2 brackets, and then you can only do 5 if you're all the way in the max bracket as far as where it's actually efficient to level them. So they could maybe rebalance this, give it make it so more guilds might be able to kind of invest in this. Maybe just reduce down the gem cost a little bit, but maybe increase the other resources that it costs. Who knows? But it is a little bit more towards the expensive side. 340 gems to max them all out, plus all the other resources. The resources amounts that it uses isn't too excessively high. I think that's kind of balanced. It's mainly when you start getting into like the 50 gems for one single level on them. For that final level is quite high of a price tag on them. But the flow of battles is pretty nice. I do really like the Paragon, Champion, Herald, Vanguard soldier system. Really makes it so you have a progression of difficulty as you go through every single one of the guild wars. For example, if you were all the way at like, let's just say you were in like bracket 10, and you'll probably have some people all the way down here or like level 100-ish. Then you move up, and then you might find someone up here who's like level 500 or 1,000. That can sometimes be a little bit unbalanced, but it does give a very interesting challenge curve to it. That could be something that they could address though, because there is currently, now that I bring that up, even though that would be decent if you were like level, let's say like a 300 or 500 where you have enough troops to deal with that. But one other issue I should probably bring up is, let's say you're a level 50, you're in, or about 100, let's say you're level 100, you're in an okay-ish guild, let's say bracket 10-ish, I'm not quite sure exactly where this might happen, let's just say bracket 10-ish. There's this other pretty casual guild, but there's one exception. There's like a level 1000 something in that guild, and they have almost everything. Well, if you did a guild war against that guild, of course that's going to be a much smaller guild. You'll go through their little smaller battles, maybe even their champion is somewhat small too. Then you go to a Paragon, and it is literally, or almost literally, impossible for you to beat it, because it has so many stats. It's a pretty much maxed out player, and you're like a level 100 just starting to get like your first legends or something. That they could definitely try addressing a bit, because yeah, that's a little bit too unbalanced. A couple hundred levels, maybe a couple thousand disparity within team score, I guess that could be fine. But when they're like double your team score and like maxed out almost, that can be a pretty big issue. I know on my other account when I was doing that, that could have been, or that was a little bit of an issue. I didn't really experience it too much because I did actually get some pretty good legends on it, but it definitely can happen, and I'm pretty sure that has happened to many people. But anyways, that's basically everything about Guild Wars that I really have to say, unless I forgot anything. Otherwise, pretty sure it's everything. Good enough. But yeah, if you have any feedback, definitely go and leave it to the devs. They will be reading all the feedback. They do listen to the community quite a lot, and I'm kind of glad that they're going to be reworking this. It is something that has gotten quite a bit of controversy. Actually, Guild Wars quite easily has been the most controversial thing they have ever added to this game. Out of absolutely everything, from like level 15 to 20, from traits to anything they've ever added to the game. This has number one been the most controversial. So definitely leave them their feedback. They will listen to it and maybe they will implement on it. Anyways, that's my spill on it. I hope you all have a wonderful week. And yeah, no Guild Wars this week or next week or possibly even the week after. So I guess we'll have plenty of other video content to go do instead of that then. Anyways, wonderful week. See y'all later and goodbye.